What's up guys, I'm Logan. We're back here at the S3 Power Sports shop. Today we're gonna go over the install on the Polaris Pro R and Turbo R pull plate and receiver hitch. Get your tools ready, we'll show you how to knock this thing out. Here are the tools needed to complete this task. A floor jack, a pair of jack stands, a 10mm socket, 19mm socket, and 21mm socket, a 10mm wrench and a 21mm wrench, a dead blow hammer, a T40 Torx bit, a Dremel tool or a cutoff wheel, and a pair of safety glasses. If you're installing the receiver hitch, you'll also need a 1/4 inch drill bit. The first thing you want to do is get your Turbo R or Pro R on flat, level ground and put the machine in park. Next, you want to elevate your machine and support it with a suitable pair of jack stands. Next, remove the rear tires using a 19mm socket for the stock lug nuts. If you have aftermarket lug nuts, make sure you have the right socket to fit those. Then you want to take your T40 Torx bit and remove the 4 bolts shown here to remove your rear bumper. Next, take your 21mm socket and wrench and remove the 4 inner radius rod nuts that hold the stock plate on. Note that some of the nuts are difficult to get to. Leave the bolts in the radius rods until all the nuts have been removed, and then one by one remove the bolts and be careful not to let the radius rods swing down and get damaged. Next, you're going to want to grab your S3 double shear pull plate or hitch receiver, reinstalling the bolts through the radius rods and then sliding it back into place. We started with the uppers first and then moved to the lowers using our 21mm socket. You may have to raise the ends of your trailing arms to get the lower radius rods to align correctly with the bolt holes on the pull plate or the receiver hitch. Sometimes a little persuasion from a dead blow hammer is needed to get them to line up perfectly. Once you have all the bolts in place, you will want to use some Loctite on the bolts and reinstall the nuts and torque to factory spec. Please refer to your owner's manual to get factory spec on different bolts and nuts throughout the machine. After that, you'll want to grab your factory rear bumper and place it back in its original position. At this point, you will notice there will be some trimming you will have to do to accommodate the new pull plate. We will need to trim the plastics right along the lines pointed out in this video. After trimming for the pull plate, your bumper should go from looking like this to this. Next, you will want to place your bumper back on the machine, check to make sure no more trimming is needed to go around the pull plate. If everything looks good, you can reinstall the factory bolts in the upper bolt holes of the rear bumper, and then using the supplied bolts, washers, and nuts, fasten the lower half of the rear bumper to the pull plate using a 10mm socket and wrench. If you are installing the receiver hitch, you will notice there's an extra bracket that comes along with your kit. This is to support your plastic bumper once we have done some trimming to fit around the receiver hitch. It will mount on top of the plate shown here with the factory radius rod bolts. The trimming that is needed for the receiver hitch is a little more involved than the pull plate, but with a little help from following this video, you will have no problem. We will want to start off by using tape to outline where to cut. Begin by placing your first piece of tape on the corner where the plastic bend starts on the bumper, and then wrap it towards the outside bend pointed out previously with the pin. Then simply take your next piece of tape and connect it to the first piece at the front lip of the back of the bumper to give it a squared off edge to match the aesthetics of the other plastics of the Turbo R. The more time you take to plan out your cuts, the better the finished product will look. Once you finish trimming your plastics, you should have something that looks similar to the finished product on the right side. Now is the time to take a deep breath and realize the hardest part is behind you. Your kit will come with a template that will make drilling the holes for the support bracket much easier as shown here. Simply take the template and place it on the bumper and mark your holes to drill, and then with a 1/4 inch drill bit, go ahead and drill them out. Make sure your holes line up with the bracket from behind. After this, you will want to remove the heat shields out of the factory plate using a 10mm socket, and we will reuse these for our support bracket supplied with your kit. Simply hold the bracket in place and slide your radius rod bolts through the receiver hitch and frame and reinstall the nuts to the factory torque specs. Once that is completed, you can reinstall the factory rear bumper plastic using a T40 Torx bit and your factory heat shield hardware. Next, you can reinstall your tires, test drive, and recheck all your hardware. All right, now that I'm done getting all hot and sweaty, that thing's installed. If you have any more questions about the video or how to install the part, give us a call at the shop, visit our YouTube page, visit the website, and check out other parts for your machine.